Watch Who?
Hello.
And welcome to Two Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to watching Who.
Watching for the very first time.
Very first time.
And we've done it! We have collected all 6 segments of The Key to Time. How do you feel?
Yay! Collected.
You feel collected?
Yeah.
Wow. We've done it! We can do anything. We've got the whole power of the universe. What are we going to do?
I'm going to go back in time to Manchester when I was in that hotel and first thought of this idea. No, I'm not. That was a bad joke. I don't know. What are you going to do, Mark? Where do you want to go?
I would get some Doctor Who missing episodes. Of course I would. I'd transport myself to those basements and tell those people what I think. Because I possess the key to time.
I record it on my smartphone. I jumped to there and record it on my smartphone. And somebody were like, what are you doing? I'm like, shh. Recording. We'll want this in the future.
Well, you could get some more Strawberry Dreams.
Oh, I could get I'm still getting through Strawberry Dreams. I put an update today because no one asked for an update, but I did one anyway. I think I'm on about like 1.6 kilograms now. I was doing really well. I was having like between 1 to 4, 5 a day max, like generally 1 to 3 really. And then basically, Mark, it was like time of the month and I had about 25 in one day. So, and it's been a hard cutback since then.
So maybe you would swap the Key to Time for some Strawberry Dreams then?
Probably right now, yeah.
Well, it's the Armageddon Factor this week, the finale of this very exciting season. 6 episodes. I'm very interested to see what you thought because I wasn't looking forward going into this one because I've struggled with this quite a lot and I wasn't going to watch it all in one go, and I did yesterday. I watched the whole thing in one go, and I really enjoyed it, probably for the first time. So,
very first time.
Did you watch this all in one?
No, I did 3 and 3, but I nearly, I'm not saying I could have watched it all in one, but I got to the end of 3, and I was like, I really want to watch the next one, but I'm not going to. I stopped myself because I had other things to do. And I was like, I know I've got time to watch it. So I really enjoyed this.
Oh my God, because I think if you would ask Doctor Who fans, they would say, yeah, this season's really great. But the finale, this last one, it's a bit cheaper. It maybe goes on a bit too much. For me, I thought it was very beige and boring for a long time until now. When actually, and maybe that's watching it all in order, because we watched it quite close together, and we've been talking about it. I don't know. I just thought this was really good. I mean, there are some dodgy moments, but...
Yeah, of course there are. It's 6 episodes, so there's going to be. But the cliffhangers were fantastic. Every cliffhanger, I was like, this is a great cliffhanger. Like, I want to watch what is happening next. I can't really remember there being a bad cliffhanger?
Not really. Well, there's a good Romana one. The Doctor. Oh no! When he disappeared.
Yeah. Once we got to about episode 4, which is normally when you start having that dip, then we get a new character introduced. That was great. Just based on you being like, good luck, I was thinking, oh, is this going to be difficult? Which is why I'd sort of planned to spread it.
Actually, before we start as well, what comes to mind on this is, I showed you like the VHS covers and the spines move up. Well, see, this is a 6-parter and all the others are 4-parters. And back in the day when you used to get the double video cassettes for like longer stuff, well, all the Doctor Who's, if it was more than 4 episodes, would be in a double cassette and be like, like 20 quid or whatever, where the normal 4 parts were 10 quid. Apart from, of course, when the Armageddon Factor comes out, obviously it couldn't be double, and somehow magically BBC Video managed to fit 6 episodes onto one cassette, which they never did any other time. It was always 3 and 3 and you paid double, but obviously it was possible. So that always is like, well, why didn't you do that with all the others?
That's your gripe, is it? There's your gripe at BBC.
Anyway, okay, so part 1, well, we start off with a little bit of I put Neighbours in space. If Neighbours carries on to the year like 5 million or whatever, a bit of soap opera on TV in the
little soap opera on TV, like played no significance to anything.
Well, it's just an interesting intro.
I thought it was going to be, I mean, it's obviously on a ship and stuff like that. I thought we were going to see some people and like, it's sort of supposed to be a hint of like civilized life and something like that. We don't see anyone but that, like, one scene. It's the most random thing. But yes, it is Neighbours in Space.
You don't really get to see it. It's on the, in this like ward, a bit like a sort of, obviously a space hospital thing. It reminded me, I don't know why, and you got Princess Astra like visiting the people and stuff. Isn't that what happens? You know, Keira Knightley in Atonement, isn't she like a nurse in the war?
Yes.
I don't know. It gave me like Astra and Marek. It sort of gave me sort of like Atonement vibes at the beginning of this for some reason.
Oh, okay.
And we see that there's this war, and you've got the Marshal and Shap, which then reminded me a bit of like the pirate captain and Mr. Fibuli in a way to begin with. So it felt like we've seen that a little bit before. And because the Marshal, there's obviously something going on with him. He's being like controlled, a bit like the pirate captain, I thought. And Shap's a little bit more comedy and a bit more...
Oh, I love Shaps. I love Shap.
I don't know, I found him a bit annoying.
No, I thought it was really great because he's supposed to be like he's supposed to be following the Marshal's instructions. He's supposed to be a somewhat serious character, and he's just it was great. I really enjoyed him. I thought, and I also liked how his character, as things are like as the story's changing and the situation's changing, and he sort of like adapted with what was happening and adapted to working with the other people and, all that sort of stuff and the new information that was coming. Because sometimes those sorts of characters, they're really one-minded and annoying, and he wasn't. And I liked that.
Okay, that's different. I just thought it was maybe a little bit more on the silly side compared to everyone else. Maybe compared to the Marshal, who's very serious.
Yeah.
Have you frozen? No, hold on. You just went a bit slow.
Yeah, you froze.
Can you hear me, though?
You froze.
Can you hear me?
I can now, yeah.
Okay, let's carry on.
I can hear you now. Carry on.
This is going to be so difficult to edit. Well, what do you think of Princess Astra to begin with? Because she's this... She gets like true crimed, basically. So she gets sent down. She's visiting like the hospital and all of that stuff. And then the Marshal is orchestrating her to be locked away, to be sort of led down this deserted thing, and she gets locked away in part 1 and in the radiation room.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, it would be like a Netflix documentary, like Astra, the People's Princess. What happened on the day of, you know what I mean? Like missing, I felt like it could be one of those things where, what happened to her? Where did she go? And she gets like, it's the Marshal's guard that gets her locked away, because her and Marek, we haven't had a couple for a long time, actually. Couple of the season.
Yeah, no, we've not, have we? I can't think of any other couples at all this season.
No, we haven't had that, so that's a nice change. So they're trying to get hold of the people of Zeos. So we've got Atrios and Zeos, and there's something going on there. But we've seen so many sort of battles in Doctor Who like this, because you don't really see the Zeons. You don't think that's necessarily any different, is it? But it's a sort of a plot point in this.
Yeah, Mark, I'm not going to lie, you're a mess.
Can you hear me?
Like, just about, it's like cutting out and then it'll suddenly speed up. Like,
Okay.
It's really hard to follow. It's just going to be me being like, yeah.
I said about the Zeons and the war.
Yeah. Sorry. It's like...
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. And then, and then it cuts out, and then I get everything that you've said in between in like a second.
Okay, what if I'll try and talk slower? Maybe that will help.
I have to close my eyes to listen to you. And it goes, Because it goes like really funny. So if I shut my eyes and just try and listen, I can hear what you're saying just about.
Um,
I'm just like, yeah. Sorry. I'm
okay.
really trying. I'm sorry.
So the Doctor and Romana, they get captured in part 1 and they're running around a bit. And actually, Romana in this, a little bit later on, she goes off on her own. And this is the first time I've really noticed this, but when Romana's on her own and she's got K9 and she's with Marek and she's doing a lot of the working out herself and she gets captured later on. She has a lot of this story on her own. Wouldn't she be great in a parallel universe where Tom Baker stopped and she became a female Doctor? I could totally see her with K9 and the Tracer, like a sonic screwdriver.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think that's kind of like the strength of her character, though, isn't it? How, like, independent she can be.
I just really liked how it was being played, and she does some of that comedy stuff when she's with the Doctor. I just feel like she can do all of it and be serious and do all the techno stuff, which the companions don't usually have to do. I just thought, wow, Mary Tam should have been the Doctor. She would have been amazing. I could just totally see that.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Can we close watch a sec? I love her wedding gown.
Well, it's white again. She wears a lot of white, doesn't she?
Yeah, I wonder if that's like a Time Lordy thing.
It suits her amazingly, and she's got like the boots with it as well.
She's got like a beautiful, well-fitted gown with a nice deep V and some like funky boots, so she can be like, yeah. I'm thinking Vegas wedding.
Well, I mean, she usually dresses for where they're going to land, so maybe she looked up and saw that that's what they wear. But actually, close watch Princess Astra.
Oh, can we just go back to Princess Astra sec? Because you asked me, and then we had all the tech stuff. I found her really wet. I really struggled with Princess Astra.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. The moment she started fainting in that radiation room, I thought, you're not going to have any of that.
I was fine with all that. It's just like, I couldn't work out what she was trying to play. Because sometimes she played it like a child. So those early scenes, I was like, is this like a teenager that's been captured? And like, you know, she's like the princess and this is happening to her. And it was all very young, very, very young. And then you find out that her and the Doctor, not the Doctor, you know what I mean, Merrick?
Yeah, Merrick, yeah.
Who was a doctor, the medic, were in love. And I was like, okay. And like, they've got this plan. And I was like, so what is her, I just couldn't work out how she was trying to play it. And then she's, a lot of times she's under. So like, that doesn't help in terms of like what she's trying to do or be. And then she's just very happy to be sacrificed. She's very happy to be a rock. Like, I mean, it's just, and then at the end, when she's back, when they've returned all the pieces and she's back, and Merrick sees her, I thought, May, you can do better.
Well, I think she's supposed to have led quite a sheltered life. That's the thing. You don't.
I know, but you could do better.
The problem is with this, you don't get to see, apart from that control room with the marshal and that bit of the hospital. I kept thinking, like, where is everyone? What's supposed to be? And they do say that they're running out.
What's life?
What is the world? You don't really see it.
But that didn't bother me as much because ultimately they're arriving at a point of a war, a nuclear war, and the end of the nuclear war. So all you really needed was the destruction side of it, which is what's happening. Like, although I think we'd have liked maybe to have seen a wider for our own curiosity, I don't think it would have added anything to the story because it wasn't an element that was missing because all that needed to happen was that war needed to be resolved and stopped or whatever, and there not be a machine on the planet that's controlling the war and they're fighting against, and they're just basically fighting against machines that they're not even aware of and each other. And that's all that it needed to kind of be, which it did get across. I enjoyed all the Frozen stuff as well. I'm really jumping around here, sorry.
Frozen?
Yeah, like when when time stopped and it's just like on loop.
Oh yeah, there's some really great ideas in this whole story.
I thought it was really clever and how then they isolated it, and then, you know, I loved all that. I thought it was really clever. And the suspense of that, because we're watching that clock going down from 10 and then going back to 10. So there's a really clear countdown that we can understand that once it hits 1, like boom. So yeah, I really enjoyed all that. But yeah, going back to Princess, no, I just couldn't get on board with her at any point.
Well, she is sort of taken over in the majority of the story. She is because when they have those fake things, they have those things on their necks to show that they're taken over. I mean, it's the most obvious thing. Shouldn't they have something a bit more subtle if you're being taken over? It's so obvious, the massive black cube on you. Like,
yeah, why has no one noticed that on the Marshal before? Oh wait, he's got a massive black metal box on his neck. That's odd. Did he always have that?
Oh, well, and talking about taking over, K9 in this, he's got so much to do.
I mean, a complete contrast to last week. Got to make up, haven't they? So,
well, first off, he goes into that furnace.
Is that the first place he goes?
Well, that's towards in episode 2. He goes into that furnace thing, doesn't he? The scrap metal thing.
Oh yeah.
For no reason, and has to be rescued. And then what do you think about K9 going bad? What do you think was going to happen?
I loved that. In fact, I did wonder, and although I would have been sad, I think it would have made it a slightly more interesting situation. I wondered if like someone was going to have to die, and if that would have been Kanan, like a sacrifice of some sort because the quest is epic and the final piece is huge, and it felt like there were no losers within it.
Well, I see what you mean about the sort of epicness of the story. My problem with the story is you've had this whole season putting the key together, and within like a minute or two, it's scattered and it's all back to the beginning as if like nothing was needed. Nothing actually was achieved right at the end. That's my problem with this story.
Key to time! I command that you stay exactly where you are!
Doctor, you have fully activated all the TARDIS's defenses.
We can't be too careful, can we? And it would be a terrible tragedy for the universe if it suddenly turned out that I was colorblind.
I think the ending was a bit too rushed. And it's an interesting one because actually, I don't know, like normally we're like, there's a bit of padding there, there's a bit of padding there. And I can't think of too much padding. All right, do you know what? Maybe some of the scenes were like maybe 10 seconds too long if we're really being pinicky. You know, some of the repeat scenes, they were maybe repeated one too many times. But also, I wouldn't have changed any of that. I never felt like I'm seeing this too many times. There was nothing in the story that felt like it didn't need to be there. The tension felt real. The only reason I bring up sacrifice is previously and this is like, you know, really going back a bit here, but the big stories, the big epic ones, we have lost people and it's been more of a thing. And, you know, Katerina and the button, or Sarah Superstar and everything that happened with her and then like, you know, that you need those sort of like moments to really grip you in it. And I just felt that was missing here. I just felt that we needed whether that be when K9's gone evil and something's malfunctioned and he's I don't know what it would have been, but I did a few points think K9 would have been a perfect specimen for that. I
suppose you're supposed to think that Astra is the sacrifice, although she does come back. But that's what I mean. You almost need a sort of. There were points when I thought Romana was gonna, but you know when she was captured, she's getting zapped, and she's like, "No, don't give anything." I mean, literally, her soul. And the doctor says something like, "But why are we doing it if you just die?" And he's right, but his sole point was to stop that.
her sole purpose of being there was to get the pieces and get them safely to the Guardian. So I don't know. I just felt like it was really good and I really enjoyed it. I'd have just liked maybe a little bit more sense of finality drama sort of thing.
Well, the other problem I have with this story is the Shadow, I don't feel, is a big enough threat. When I first watched it...
Oh, do you not? That's interesting.
Well, when I first watched it, I was like, well, why isn't it the Black Guardian? Why do we have to have the Shadow, who is supposed to be working for the Black Guardian, but you never really have enough time with the Black Guardian. I'd rather have it as the Black Guardian and all of his people, and he's doing all of this stuff, rather than the Shadow, who is a bit Scooby-Doo, in a way, with this man with this little mask on.
He wasn't... Yeah. The costume itself was a bit naff, and he's scared of light and stuff. But I didn't think it was... I still felt there was like an intimidating threat to it. I still felt the threat of him.
I didn't understand necessarily why he was controlling the Marshal and the war and all of that. I'm not sure how all that ties in with getting the key to time, necessarily.
That's where it gets a little bit confusing, because I thought that the Shadows dude was working to get the key so that he could control time. I didn't even think of him as working for the Black Guardian. I just thought of him as something that lives in the shadows, that knows about it and has waited and wants to get it so that he can control it, because he has the knowledge of understanding it, which makes the whole thing with the Black Guardian, if he was working with the shadows and knew all that, he could have just got a lot of this himself and come in sooner. So I almost felt that they were two separate things. He knew about it and he'd sort of been waiting because he knew, well, I know this is the sixth piece and I know at some point someone will arrive with the other five. Whereas the Guardian, the Black Guardian, knew nothing and was just waiting for the Doctor to see it through. And yeah, I just felt that very ending was just really rushed. I think, considering it's the climax of the entire story of six stories, it was just a bit, nah.
Did you guess that Astra was the sixth piece?
Yeah, quicker than Romana. Like, she basically says, I'm the sixth dynasty, the sixth. And Romana's like, right, yeah, but we've got to go. I'm like, look, she's the sixth bloody piece. What are you on about?
And I swear Merrick is literally all he says is, where's Astra? Is Astra all right? Where's Astra? The whole time.
Oh my gosh. That's why I was like, mate, you can do better. She is, yeah, she's wet. Again, that was an interesting thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting that it is a person. It's a good idea that actually this is a person. And yeah, I don't really... And it's annoying that they have to scatter it all out after that. And they don't actually see the White Guardian because it's the Black Guardian in disguise the whole time. The White Guardian never even pops in and says hello at all.
But does that mean at the very, very beginning, it was the Black Guardian disguised as the White Guardian that gave them that message, and the White Guardian was never involved?
No, I don't think so.
See, right, that makes me even more frustrated with the ending, because I thought from that ending that it had been the Black Guardian disguising as the White Guardian the whole time.
Well no, because it's not. It's a different actor.
That's why.
Yeah.
And that's why they'd sent like, hey, you need to go and do this. Okay. And then, because he can shapeshift, be careful of him. Could be dangerous. Sure. I just found it all a bit odd.
It felt like they
ending.
started off this season, but they hadn't really planned how it was going to wrap up. And then maybe they should have thought about that with the keys, what they're going to do with the keys at the end. What is the point of what's going to happen when they do get it all? I feel like that was just left up to whoever wrote this script.
I would have been fine if they were all scattered again. If that was, but I just felt that we needed a little bit more time to have come to that place and conclusion. Throughout it, they're discussing like, well, what does all this mean? So it is an ongoing thing, but until you're in that situation and you're hearing it to confirm, oh yeah, this isn't, I don't know. I just felt it was all a bit rushed. It was like, we've got 5 minutes to wrap up this entire arc.
Did you also enjoy the story because it reminded you of Planet of Giants when they went small? Is that why?
Maybe. Love people going small, you know me. But I enjoyed, what was his character called?
Drax.
Remember me? Drax is the name.
Drax.
Come on, Fee. Class of 92.
Not
Yeah?
Drax.
Drax with an X.
I love Drax. I love Drax.
Well, he's another Time Lord that you haven't met many Time Lords out and about like this.
No. And yeah, I thought he was a really great character, and he spent time on Earth Prison, which is why he's got a Cockney accent. Really great, like, character to bring in at that moment when things are getting a bit more intense. And a proper, like, side, when they were both coming up and they're like face to face, like, oh, it's you. And he's like so chill about it. It was a great introduction. He shoots the doctor. He thinks that's what he's supposed to do. And I thought he was a really nice, cheeky chappy, but light addition to help move the story along and help them without it just being another, oh, well, I'm trapped here. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, what can I do? It was a complete contrast, and I really enjoyed that. Has he been in it before?
No, he hasn't, no. When that bit where the Doctor goes small and they leave the TARDIS door open, that's when the shadow is really rubbish because that door is open for a long time.
Hell, yeah.
And they don't even bother going in. Then the TARDIS door's open.
Yeah, and then he goes and it's like a light. He's like, I can't go. I was like, oh my God, this is so pathetic. That was probably a little bit too much padding.
Yeah, but then I love the bit where K9 then pretends to be bad. He's like,
yeah.
like doing his acting. Love
yes, master.
Yeah. I don't know. It just, before when I've watched it, it always dragged a little bit. I was never that interested, and I thought all the sort of spacey war martial stuff I always found a bit boring. But I was just so into what was happening, and even all that time loop stuff. And sometimes I got a bit bored with K9 talking to that computer for really long scenes. But actually, I just really enjoyed it. I just really, with every different part of the adventure, because actually sometimes in a six-parter, we like that they move location. They didn't really move location that much in this one. It was all very similar looking. There wasn't like, 2 episodes on film somewhere else or something in the daytime. It was all in those caves or in the spaceship. But that didn't matter this time. I just really was enjoying the story.
It felt like the actors were enjoying it as well. And actually, I think a lot of the dialogue and the concepts were a lot higher than they have been, like, of the last few. Because the last few have just been stories that are gathering. This was supposed to be like a big epic war, and there was machines, and there was different layers to it. Like, it was quite a multi-layered story that you really had to follow. And bear in mind, this is before the times of iPlayer and Disney Plus, and you just, you had to remember what you'd just seen a week prior.
The recaps were quite long this time, so maybe they were short of story. They were very long at the beginning of each episode. They went back quite a bit.
Yeah.
You can always tell. I think they always do that in a 6-part.
I think they needed to, though. I think they needed to, because there was a lot of layers, I think, to this story. We'd had a lot of weeks of just the aim is to get the stone. What was it? The rock, the crystal. The key, that's it. The aim is to get the key. So, like, it doesn't matter at what point you come back, you know that that's where they're aiming for, even if other stories going along. Whereas this, all right, there was that, but there was a lot more to it. And then you've got the wars going on, and then what's happened to the people of that planet, because now it's just a machine. And then who is he talking to? It was nice to see, what were they called? The mats. The transmats.
The transmat, like that lift that everyone was in and out the whole time.
So, like that, we've had transmats before,
Yeah.
haven't we? and I liked
I mean,
that.
they were in and out.
And
Everyone was in and out of that transmat at some point.
Yeah.
Every time I was like, again? Like, so they're back and forth a lot.
But there was a lot to sort of keep track and follow, and like it wasn't just like here's this one story, because there was the elements of like they had no idea where that sixth key was. They're trying to stop a war. They're trying to not give too much away to the shadows because he's following and watching them.
And when they put the keys to time together, you see what I mean? It's like the square with the thing in the top.
Yeah.
That's what I want to make a cake of.
It's like that. Do you remember when we did real size Monopoly? And we had to like make the square. Do you remember? We made the houses.
Yeah.
And we just could not make. We could make the house, but we could not make a hotel.
It's like a puzzle thing that goes together. Yeah. It
was like bricks that went together, and we could not make the hotel, could we?
Yeah, I love that key to time thing. That's amazing. Somebody's got the real one. It was auctioned off a long time ago. It did sit in the exhibition in Cardiff for a long time. As you first went in, it was in a glass case, the key to time. I was like, oh my God, it's the key to time. It's my favourite thing to look at. I love it. But what else have we got to say about this one? I mean, well, it ends with the Doctor and Romana going on the run then, so they scatter the thing. The Black Guardian, I feel like he's a bit of disappointment. He's some guy in, like, negative. It's just a little bit of a, I don't know.
Yeah.
Wasn't that
It was just all a bit, But I thought that the randomizer going on was brilliant.
There you go. So then that sets off the next, wherever we go next. They don't know because they're trying to get away from the Black Guardian. Okay. Favourite moment of this story?
Oh gosh, I don't know. It could be, I've got a few. It could be when K9 was pretending to be bad. I also really like the dialogue, what's his name had when he left, about like getting scrap metal, when Drax had that conversation. And I enjoyed Drax and K9's interaction. Yeah,
Drax definitely lifts it up. He really helps. I like that. I like the last scene, actually, when the Doctor puts the key together and he has that little bit of that speech, like, we can do anything.
As from this moment, there's no such thing as free will in the entire universe. There's only my will, because I possess the key to time.
Doctor, are you all right?
Well, of course I'm all right, but suppose I wasn't all right. Now, this thing makes me feel in such a way. I'd be very worried if I felt like that about somebody else feeling like this about that. Do you understand?
I like that between the Doctor and Romana at the end. I've definitely changed my mind on this one.
That's so interesting, because literally before the way you said it, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be difficult."
Well, only because I've been harsh on that, because I think they are running out of money a bit in this. You can tell that they're running out of money. I think.
I don't think it's that obvious, other than like the fact that they're not on multiple sets. But actually, I don't think the story needed them to be. Like, they're not on location anywhere. There's no location shooting, but there doesn't need to be any location shooting because they're literally on bases. I don't think it would have worked.
I don't know. It just looked a little bit cheap. That with the Marshal, he's obviously got an office chair in the middle of a bit of wood, and that's the bridge. It's just stuff like that.
Think of that though. I didn't even pick up on all that.
No, it doesn't matter. No, I know. I've been harsh on stuff like that before, but it's no prawn or anything. Of course not. It's not as bad as that. But maybe that's because this whole season has looked amazing and has looked, right through. This is probably the cheapest looking in this whole season, and it's not so bad, which shows how great this season is, I think.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think it was like probably the most budget of the series, season. But I didn't feel that impacted the story in any way.
Everybody, what do you think of the Armageddon Factor? Are we right?
Are you going to watch it again now?
I mean, it's no Keys of Marinus, definitely.
No, it's no Keys of Marinus.
It's up there, definitely.
But actually, I think as a set, it is a Keys of Marinus. Like, I've enjoyed this whole arc as much as I've enjoyed Keys of Marinus. In the same way that, like, the Keys of Marinus has the weakest element of the whole Keys of Marinus, and yet it's the funniest, is the cave stuff. And that's kind of like the story we had that was weak the other week. Like, it wasn't a bad story. It was just weak amongst the season. And whenever I think of, if I was to put all those stories in a line for Keys of Marinus, that's my weakest one with Wolfgang. I'm like, what is happening? Like, it's so ridiculous. And yeah, I love it because it's so corny. And we still talk about it.
We love a search for a key. Is basically what we've learned on this podcast.
Love a search for it.
There is a audio sequel of The Key to Time that was made. Just so you know.
I thought you were saying Key to Mariners then.
No,
I was like,
no,
what?
no. Called The Key to Time.
Of course.
Which is the Fifth Doctor. And basically he's got to go and search for the keys again. But he's given a new companion that is like the tracer thing that they've got, that they stick it on the thing and it turns, but it's they're human tracers, so she can feel like she twinges through her nose basically, and can get it.
I know.
And they're like these beings that have been like specially created to search and everything. Yeah, it's a good audio trilogy, but they do.
Oh, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah. And there's two, and
that comes back to a lot of the ideas of this, of like, but what happens to the purpose of the being?
Oh, yeah. Well, then
anyway.
Actually, okay, you've answered. I'll just carry on. And then there's a whole spin-off series of these two girls that are the Tracers, called Graceless, of what their lives are like after. And it hasn't got it's not Doctor Who or anything. You can sort of listen to it as its own sci-fi series. There's 5 audio series of that, of just them.
5 audio series?
Really
5? Oh my god!
It's really good. Called Graceless. Anybody? And they're like, we used to be these Tracers. We were created, but now we have these special powers, but we don't know what to do with it. And they go around. It's got some adult themes in it as well, but it's really good.
5 bloody series!
It's
my
really
god!
Good. Cool. What?
I do miss the Master.
The Master.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what to say to that. That's just come out of nowhere.
Well, I just thought, I don't know, whenever I think of like story arc things or big story things, like the Master always comes to mind.
I'm sure he will appear again at some point.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will.
We've got some Doskers to work out before we go on to the next series. What would you like to happen in season 17?
Oh my god. I can't believe we're on season 17. I just need to process that a minute.
I mean, we've just finished Tom Baker's 5th series. That's 5 years he's been doing it.
Yeah. 5, oh my god, yeah. He's still great as well. It's funny because some of the others I was like, okay, I'm done. And I'm not sure if it's just because he's been really good or if it's because the series are shorter and therefore you don't feel it as much.
Well, the 3rd Doctor was 5 years and he was our longest so far. So now going into this next one, this will be our longest Doctor.
Gosh. Was the 3rd Doctor 5?
Yeah. So are you saying you'd like the Master at some point in a future series? That's
yeah. I'd like the Master. I've quite enjoyed not having things like Daleks and Cybermen for a while, but I feel they'll be coming back soon. It's been a while, you know. We've had at least, 3 seasons without them?
Well, okay, the first story of season 17 is called Destiny of the Daleks, so...
there we go then. There we are. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all.
Surprise! But it's written by Terry Nation, so we get Terry Nation back at least.
Of course it is.
Yes!
Of course it is.
My favourite.
Is it 6?
4.
4. That's short for a Terry Nation. Budget cuts ahoy. Right, well.
Yeah. But before we get to the Daleks again, we've got the Doskers to work out, so I think it's going to be a tough one this time because there's so many good things.
I don't think it'll be that tough. I think we'll agree quite well. It's not like last season where we had some real clashes of opinion.
But I was thinking, like, monster of the season. We literally have had, 2 monsters in this. Anyway, we will talk about that when we... in our Doskers. So in the meantime, let us know what you think about the Armageddon Factor. We've got some technical problems here. I don't everybody's while we've been recording this. I'm not sure how much I'll edit, but Sarah can't really hear me very well. We've got some interference from Zeos and Atrios and everything. All that nuclear interference is happening. So We'll try and get. We'll try and edit
If you
this.
could hear what I could hear, Mark.
Okay. I'll carry on. We'll get to the end of this, so we'll finish now then. But you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 2watchwho and support us at buymeacoffee.com/2watchwho. Thank you so much for those that have signed up and have bought us coffees. We were just saying before we recorded how much we appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think Sarah knows what I'm talking about.
I literally can't hear a thing, and I just heard a coffee. I just went, thank you.
Okay, and we will see you very, very soon. So, bye.
Bye.
Watch who?